All right, what's up, everybody? Will here from Flow Candy, and today I'm going to go over our campaign benchmark index system process, whatever you want to call it. So this is how we benchmark brands to come up with a campaign strategy for our clients. And I'm going to go through how we do it. We do it for a handful of clients, and I'm going to give you all the systems we use to do it. Before I dive in, though, just real quick. Um, this is a bit complex, so if you have any questions, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn right here. So just click on that link, send me a DM. You can also email me at will@flowcandy.com. Also, in this resource, we'll be going over a lot of these sort of what we call campaign types or campaign angles. And the bonus, I give away a sort of a free playbook here that walks through like what these actual campaigns are. So I don't really go over that in the actual indexing, but if you're like, hey, what exactly is a let me see, a FAQ email? Okay, well, if you don't know what that is, you can go here and we have a whole slide on it, and so there's free training on that. So that's the free bonus. So don't forget to walk through that, and you can, whether or not you benchmark your brand, you can just swipe a lot of this, and there'll be a lot of value there. All right, so let's jump in here. I also am going to be, to keep things like kind of objective, I'm going to be going through a real life example of how we benchmark. And I also have some slides I made on it too that we do for our clients sometimes. So let's jump into it. So I'll start at the top. Why you would want to benchmark yourself against your competition is, especially if you're a big brand here that's watching this video, you're an enterprise brand, you're a mid-market brand, or you're like a small business, like maybe you're doing like 5 million a year, 10 million a year, and you're scaling into that enterprise, and you're starting to really compete in the market. You're starting to get a lot of traction in the market. You're starting to compete, and you want to become best in class in the market. This is what a lot of some of our clients voice to us, especially the ones that are in the mid market that are really challenger brands that are really scaling fast and are either pushing for some sort of liquidation event like an exit, or they're working with some of them are owned by private equity firms and who are also looking for like the next exit. So I guess the second exit. I've never worked with one that's gone on to an IPO, but we do work with a lot that are sort of what I would call challenger brands that are really in that like 10 to $500 million range. Whether that's the lower band of the mid market or the upper band of the mid market, and they're really trying to be what we call best in class in the category and really win the category in email marketing. So this is how you do it. You have to benchmark yourself against your competition. All right. And the first thing we always do when we do this is we want to know, okay, like who are the market leaders in the space? Not necessarily in terms of email marketing. We're going to get into that, but who, like, just in terms of pure size. And how we do it is like we call it like digital brand awareness. I don't have a lot of data on brick and mortar and retailer, but you could also do that too. These are sort of the metrics we use to just see like the total market size, like who are the market leaders just in terms of total brand awareness and size. So I put, using the functional beverage category that I was talking about earlier, Liquid Death is clearly at the top when you look at the amount of traffic they generate and the Instagram followers they have. Now, you could get even deeper into this. You could just use traffic. You could add in all these other social metrics. It really doesn't. Uh, it really just depends. People ask me all the time, well, how do you find the traffic, Will? I use SimilarWeb, so you can pay for that. SEMrush is another one. There's a lot of these tools out there, but basically we're trying to we're not looking for specifics and exacts. We're just looking to see who the big leaders are, or who the market leaders are, and then I sort of rank them. Okay, so from top to bottom, just using this functional beverage category as an example, the leaders in this space, just in terms of size in the market, would be Liquid Death all the way down to Recess. And again, this is an example of this just beverage category using the digital marketing. You might say, well, LaCroix is massive. This company's been around for years. They're distributed all over the United States. You know, they got way more distribution than probably like Hint Water or Health Aid, and that's true. Maybe even probably even Liquid Death. That's very, very true. Again, this is a digital, okay, because this is an email marketing benchmarking index. So we are trying to just score them digitally. Like again, I said, if you have access to retailer metrics, like I know some of you guys use Spins and some of these other sort of service providers to track brick and mortar sales, you can use that instead. I just don't have access to those tools. But anyway, moving on. So that literally, if you come back to my example, what did I have it here? Where we rank them on size, you'll see that that's why Liquid Death is all the way up the top, Olipop, Poppy, because these are the three leaders in terms of just pure digital market size. Okay, so you need to figure that out first. Like, who are the actual, just in terms of size? If you have sales data, you could do that. But you know, this is what we use. The second thing, and this just really gets into the heart of this indexing, is you want to go through all of their campaigns and score them on the different types of angles they are using. And so I went through all the brands here as an example. And again, I have all of this for free. You can just go and copy this to make your own. But I'm just going to mostly work off the example I provided in this sheet because it makes more sense when I do it that way. But as you can see, like I talked about in the free bonus, we have all these angles. So we will literally go, when we work with clients, and we will go look at all of their category, all of their competitors' emails, or all the people in the categories' emails, and we will sort of rank them. Like, are they doing promotional campaigns? Are they doing content campaigns? Are they doing back in stock campaigns? Are they doing FAQ campaigns? Are they doing gift card campaigns? And then we will give them a score. We'll tally it all up and give it a score. So this is literally the key to the benchmarking here. So people ask me, okay, well, how do I get all of their emails? So one thing you can do is you can go to Mild. Like, I pay for Mild. That is one thing you can do. And you can, normally we like to, it depends, but normally we like to score out like a year's worth of emails, maybe 30 days. Another thing you can do, let's say like I really wanted to get super targeted here. Like, let's say, this category is a little bit broad, I would say. Let's say I just really wanted to dive deep into the actual prebiotic market. Or let's say I really wanted to, I'll give you another example. Let's say I wanted to dive deeper into like the actual soda water market. So I want to compare LaCroix versus Liquid Death soda water versus Spindrift and Waterloo and Perrier and San Pellegrino, all these like pretty established soda water brands. But the problem is maybe Spindrift is not on Mild. So then what we would do is we would go and opt in to the actual brand's emails and go from there. Now that takes more time because we have to wait and collect like 30 days of campaigns to be able to score them. But that's another way we do it sometimes too. But the quickest way is, if you have access to Mild, to go in there and just go through a year's worth of email. It takes time. It's hard. It's not easy, but you go through every single campaign and you're like, okay, what type of campaign was this? Okay, I'm looking at this Olipop campaign. This looks like a product campaign, maybe even a promotional campaign, because it has that discount code. All right. This one looks more like a collection-based campaign, maybe a product-based campaign. So I would score it for that. You know, let's say you want to go to like one that we looked at in this category was Hint Water. Hint Water has a lot of promotional campaigns. So this is more of like a social, follow us on social campaign. Again, this is a promotional campaign, or even a subscribe and save campaign. So we might score for both. There's social proof elements in here too. So that's what we're doing. We're going through all of these competitors' emails, everybody in this category's emails, and we're just sort of ranking them. Okay, are they doing subscribe and save? So I had Hint Water as one of the only ones, for example, in this category that was doing subscribe and save emails. So that's kind of what we're doing. Okay, we're going through it manually sometimes and just scoring these people. And again, if you're confused on like, okay, well, what is a subscribe and save email? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I don't know if we have that one profiled here, but you can see a lot of these campaigns are profiled in the free bonus. Okay, so that is really crucial. Okay, another thing that we benchmark on is tech stack. So we want to see like, okay, what tech stack is the category using? Because a lot of times brands just get blocked based on the tech stack. Now, a lot of you guys watching this might be using Klaviyo. Those brands, these mid-market brands that are using Klaviyo and Attentive and stuff like that, they get less blocked. But LaCroix, for example, is sending 0 campaigns, and they're on Mailchimp, which is at this point I would call a legacy platform. We've looked at other people in different categories, like some of the incumbent leaders in other categories. They're on even more legacy tools like Oracle or SAP or Adobe, stuff like that. That's just really confusing, and it's just really, really hard to deploy campaigns. It takes like 5 times as long to like organize and get a campaign deployed than it would with working with something like Klaviyo. So we do like to look at that. That's another thing. Sometimes we'll do SMS benchmarking too. There's a lot of other things we'll do here, but this is just sort of the basic email one we'll do. And then the next one we'll do is we'll do a frequency analysis. We want to know how many times you were sending an email. And normally, again, we'll pull up milled if we can, and you can see it in milled. You can literally just do last year, 139 emails. Okay, so let's do the math on that. 139 divided by 12. So they're about 11 or 12 emails a month, I think is what I benchmarked Hint at, right? 13. Okay. So that's basically the gist of it. We're looking to figure out, we're looking to put data behind the email marketing strategies in the big picture, okay? And then benchmark that against the competition. And there's flaws in that. It might not be like totally precise all of the time, but then, like I said, you can come and we make these really interesting presentations for our clients on it, and you'll see we can come up with like different benchmarks. And this actually makes sense to me. I mean, when I look at the functional beverage market, all right, you have Liquid Death and Olipop at the top of the market in terms of just like pure size. But when it comes to the top CRM performers, like who's actually, and I'm not saying Liquid Death and Olipop are necessarily performing bad in terms of email marketing and SMS marketing and CRM, customer experience. They're pretty dialed in. But who is like super dialed in is a brand called Recess and another brand we profile called Health Aid. These were the people that we scored that were at the top. Like when we went through all of the sort of the messaging and the templates and the angles that they're using, these two brands scored the highest actually. And this makes sense to me. If you're in D2C e-commerce circles, a lot of people love Recess. A lot of email marketers will talk about how good Recess's email marketing is. And I can just give you an example. They just do, again, they do a lot of text-based campaigns, which I like to see. They do the promotional stuff. So this is a promotional email. This is also a retailer specific email because they're profiling Amazon. So they scored high on, they got the promotion. A lot of people are doing promotional emails, but retail partner, they scored high on that. They're doing giveaways. They're doing content type stuff like recipes. And again, they keep layering in these text-based emails. So I mean, they score really, really well. And like I said, if you talk to people that are really into the D2C space and into the email marketing space, this actually, they'll say stuff like, yeah, I love Recess's emails. They're the best. And this is, they score really high here. And again, if you pull up Health Aid, another example that we profiled, they do very, very well too. They're doing, this is a retail specific email. They're sending traffic to, I guess, Whole Foods, one of their retail partners. This is a promotional email. It's like a BOGO with a retail partner. This is an in case you missed it email. You'll see a lot of providers do this. This is a loyalty email right here. I guess this is maybe like a product launch or a back in stock email. So again, like they're doing a lot of different angles here. They're not just sending promotional emails. And they're layering in more angles than people who we had at the top of the market, like Liquid Death and Olipop. And again, Liquid Death and Olipop, and even Poppy to some extent, are doing okay. They're doing okay. This is pretty good. They scored 15. We just had Health Aid and Recess even higher. And another thing too to think about when it comes to this, it's not just based off frequency as well. I think Hintwater sends a lot of emails. They send more emails than Health Aid. They send more emails than Liquid Death and Olipop, but they scored lower because again, it's heavy on promotion. Let me pull this up. Hintwater, heavily promotional. So now you might say that, there are some flaws in this. You might say, okay, well, they're heavy in promotion. I bet they drive a lot of revenue. And that's true. We don't have the sales data. I don't have, if I did, that would be great. I could do a lot better benchmarking. I would use that in. I would layer that in here. But obviously we don't have access to that information. So if revenue was something that was important, you might say, okay, well, the ultimate metric here is not, the amount of emails I send or how big of a brand I am or the score of the templates. It's like, what is our average revenue per recipient or something like that. So that would be, obviously if I had access to all that sort of data, I would love to benchmark them there, but I don't. So we have to use this. But yeah, this is how we kind of identify who's really, really best in class. Like, what are the types of campaigns they're sending? How often are they sending? Is really important. And what tech stacks are they on? We want to know that. And again, once we do that, we can start making assumptions about things. Like we can start saying, okay, well, Recess and Health Aid, they're some of the smaller ones in the market, but they're actually the top CRM performers. In this category, all of them were using Klaviyo for email marketing except LaCroix, who doesn't even do email marketing. So Klaviyo is clearly the top email marketing choice in this category. SMS adoption is more fragmented. You know, you have Poppy, Hintwater, Health Aid using Attentive, but the big market leaders like Liquid Death and Olipop's, in terms of just market size, they're using Klaviyo. And so you can make assumptions like, hey, the bigger brands use Klaviyo for email and SMS. Actually, Liquid Death used to use Attentive for SMS. I think they migrated in 2024, end of 2023, beginning of 2024. But yeah, so we build out reports like this. I'm not going to go through this. This takes a little more time, but this is how you can sort of benchmark yourself against the competition and use this data to make assumptions about the category to ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're a brand watching this, come up with a strategy for your own brand to fill in the gaps on where you're missing, where your strategy is falling short, so you can become best in class. And so that's ultimately what we're trying to do here. You know, we're trying to see, okay, if I was, let's just say Flow Candy client, we would run it where it's like, okay, you scored like 13 or something like that, or maybe they scored at the top of the market, but let's just say in this case it's 13. So we'd be like, hey, okay, you're at this level. The people ahead of you are Olipop, Liquid Death, Health Aid, Recess. Let's go look at what they're doing and see how we can sort of what learnings we can extract from that, so that we can add that into your campaign strategy moving forward. So that's basically, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do here. So that is, in a nutshell, the campaign benchmarking index system that we use. Again, click on this. You can use this in your own business or your own brand. If you're an agency, you can even use this too, because I know a lot of people watching this are agencies and freelancers. I gave you an example of the one I shared here, of how we did it for the functional beverage market. And again, if you don't forget about that free bonus, and don't forget to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any questions about this. If this is a little bit complex, and hey, if you're just stuck and you're like, I don't have time for this, and I need help with Klaviyo, not just the campaigns but also the flows, the design, the copy. You're struggling with deliverability or stuff like that, you can always schedule a call with us. You can just click on this link right here, and you can book a call. There's like a little calendar link here, and either myself or someone on my team will just sort of walk you through any problems you're having and go over any potential solutions, whether it's working with us or whether it's just, hey, working with someone else, or maybe helping your in-house team, just giving you some tips. Again, it's our mission to help 10,000 brands master Klaviyo here at Flow Candy. So we really live by this mission. So if there's any way we can help, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, email me, will@flowcandy.com, or book a call with us here. And thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. We're coming out with this every week. We're coming out with free trainings, breakdowns. So there's a lot more coming.